I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country.
I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Donald Trump has taken such a hard stance against cartels, securing our borders, and getting these gangs and drugs out of our country. This wasn't a case of a cartel quietly infiltrating the system. This was betrayal from within law enforcement itself.
Today, the Justice Department is announcing significant enforcement actions against the largest, most violent, and most prolific fentanyl trafficking operation in the world.
They didn't just turn away, they actively assisted, allowing poison to flood American communities. 5:21 a.m. Coral Gables, Florida. The heavy stillness of the humid Florida morning was shattered by the low hum of engines. In one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in the state, a $12 million mansion stood as a monument to success. But behind the reinforced gates and the Florida ceiling glass overlooking Biscayne Bay, a storm was breaking that would expose the largest police corruption scandal in Florida's history. DEA Special Agent Victor Reyes and 27 elite federal operators weren't there for a routine arrest. They were the spearhead of Operation Blue Wall Down. Their target was a high-level cartel figure, but what they found behind a false bookshelf changed everything. They didn't just find drugs. They found police evidence room keys, official uniforms, and a leather-bound ledger detailing monthly payrolls to the very people sworn to stop them.
We announced that the Department of Justice would pursue the total elimination of cartels and transnational criminal organizations. Thanks to President Trump, many of these groups, many of these gangs are now classified as foreign terrorist organizations because they pose an extreme threat to not only our country, but to our world.
Stay with me, because what investigators uncovered inside this shadow architecture reveals a $5 billion corruption network that owned the police. If you believe the badge should be a responsibility, not a privilege, comment truth right now and subscribe. Your engagement ensures these stories of institutional betrayal are never buried. The strike, the Coral at exactly 5:21 a.m. Agent Reyes pressed against the wall of the estate, earpiece tight, waiting for the signal. Intelligence reports suggested the house belonged to Carlos Trey Mendoza, a rising figure in the chain cartel. For 8 months, the DEA had tracked Mendoza quietly, documenting tons of narcotics moving from Mexico into corridors stretching from Miami to Orlando. The breach was a decisive, synchronized strike. Mendoza was located in the master bedroom. He lunged for a loaded Glock on his nightstand, but was restrained before he could fire a single shot. As the tactical teams cleared the 12,000 square foot mansion, the scale of the operation became staggering. Drugs were everywhere. 2.2 tons of cocaine and 680 kg of fentanyl were hidden throughout the property. In the basement, 2 more tons of cocaine were vacuum sealed, while $23 million in cash was neatly stacked inside pantry cabinets behind everyday household items. But as forensic teams began a deeper review, they noticed something that didn't make sense. Agent Reyes noticed that the interior dimensions of the mansion did not match the exterior footprint. Based on the floor plans, there were 17 feet of missing space at the rear of the office. He examined a bookshelf covering the rear wall, and with a slight click of an electronic lock, a concealed entrance swung open. Inside, the room did not resemble a cartel hideout. It looked like a police operations center. 3 computer monitors displayed live feeds from cameras positioned outside Miami-Dade Police Headquarters and the main precinct of the Miami Police Department. Radio equipment had been modified to intercept all 3 agency frequencies, allowing the cartel to monitor police communications in real time. On the desk sat a large wall map marked with patrol routes, identifying which officers could not be bought. And at the center of it all was a leather-bound ledger labeled monthly payroll. Comment expose if you believe this level of coordination is a national security crisis. Reyes opened the ledger with gloved hands. 3 years of meticulously kept records were laid bare. The first page was a death sentence for a career. Sheriff Antonio Vargas, $400,000 per month. Beneath the sheriff's name were 21 additional entries. Each listed a badge number, a name, and a monthly payment ranging from $50,000 to $200,000. Total monthly bribes reached $3.5 million, Over 3 years, the Sheng cartel paid $175 million to corrupt the very people tasked with stopping them. The ledger detailed the services the cartel was buying for their money, advanced warnings of federal raids, the systematic destruction of evidence, intimidation of witnesses, secure escorts for drug shipments. The cartel wasn't running from the police. It owned the police. They had bought permission to move a $1.5 billion drug pipeline with absolute impunity. This was a shadow architecture that didn't just evade the law, it weaponized it. But as federal analysts dug deeper, the payroll revealed a much darker secret. Beside 8 entries in the ledger was a note written with chilling brevity, "Witness eliminated." Each was followed by a date and a specific address. When the FBI compared these entries against unsolved homicide cases, the results were impossible to dismiss. 8 individuals who had agreed to testify against the cartel were murdered within weeks of providing statements to police. These deaths were not random. They were the direct consequence of internal information leaks. Corrupt officers had accessed confidential witness protection files, extracted the addresses, and passed them directly to Cheng execution crews. In some cases, corrupt officers would arrest rival traffickers on legitimate charges, then deliver them not to jail, but directly to cartel executioners. This was a system of absolute betrayal, where the law was used to facilitate murder. 6 Note AM, May 15, 2025. The FBI launched Operation Blue Wall Down. To ensure the investigation remained secure, no local officers were notified. The entire operation was handled by federal agents from outside Florida. Tactical teams struck 18 locations simultaneously. At his waterfront home, Sheriff Antonio Vargas was taken into custody on his driveway as he prepared to leave for work. In his garage, agents seized $2.3 million in cash and encrypted communication devices. Across the county, the 21 officers woke to the sound of federal agents at their doors. One officer attempted to flee, vaulting a backyard fence before being restrained 3 blocks away. 2 others frantically attempted to destroy evidence, smashing phones and deleting files before they were secured. One officer, facing decades in prison, even attempted suicide by overdose, but was rescued by agents on the scene. By 8:05 a.m., the operation was complete. All 22 suspects were in federal custody, and the news sent shockwaves through South Florida. The trial of Sheriff Vargas and his officers lasted 8 weeks in September 2025. Prosecutors presented hundreds of hours of recorded communications, the payroll ledgers, and body-worn camera footage that captured the crimes in progress. The jury deliberated for only 6 hours before returning guilty verdicts on all counts. In December, the sentences were imposed at a level without precedent. Sheriff Antonio Vargas received 8 consecutive life sentences, ensuring he will never leave federal prison. For the families of the 8 murdered witnesses, the knowledge that the police had provided their addresses to killers brought an immeasurable grief. The federal government has since implemented mandatory financial disclosures and random integrity testing for all officers in the region. The raid on the Somali police chief's mansion and the arrest of Sheriff Vargas stands as a cold reminder that no one stands above the law. This case wasn't about losing faith in the law. It was about proving that even the most carefully concealed corruption will eventually be exposed. Power provided the protection, but in the end, it provided the evidence. The vast majority of law enforcement serve with integrity, and they too become victims when a small number betray their oath. Stay alert. Stay skeptical. If you want to see the details of the Phase 2 contingency protocols discovered on the cartel's servers, hit the like button and subscribe now. This is a war for the soul of our communities, and the truth is our only weapon. Comment protect if you believe the badge must be defended from within.